Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Health and Wealth Podcast with your hosts, Tim and Carter.
What's trending, Enrichers? Carter Wilcoxon, founder of CSI Financial Group here, with my co-host and former wealth advisor, Tim James, founder of
ChemicalFreeBody.com and your new health advisor. This is the show where we reveal the connection between physical and financial abundance.
Hey, Enrichers, Carter Wilcoxon, CSI Financial Group, here once again on a fantastic Monday evening in Phoenix, Arizona, with my co-host of Chemical Free Body, Mr. Tim James.
Buddy, I'm excited to be back again. We've got another guest, and his name is amazing. It's the best name I've heard. It's pretty awesome.
This is like the Tim and Tim show. Well, it's
yeah,
definitely an honor to be here, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tim Robertson of Novi, Michigan. And I know, Tim, before we sort of get into the enrichers on the podcast, thank you guys and gals for joining us once again. We're sneaking up on 20 episodes. Can you believe that, Tim James?
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. It's almost exciting as about my dad's getting a new tractor this weekend.
Nice. Well, hey, what the plug jump
first,
here?
Hey, it's the first one he's had in probably 30 years. The other two just won't start anymore. So it was time. So awesome. Pretty exciting stuff. We got new tractors and almost 20 episodes. So we're really rocking over here.
Yeah, pretty cool. So today we are very pleased to have as our guest Mr. Tim Robertson, the other Tim, here today. Tim, how are you doing out there, bud?
I'm doing great. Have you guys had another Carter or Tim on? I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
We have not. No, I don't know if we'll ever have another Carter. That's not maybe my son, Carter Samuel, who everybody knows him. Carter Samuel anyway. But so Tim Robertson, before we get started, I know that you have a broker dealer and it's a very heavily regulated, compliant world that you live in and everything. Is there anything you kind of sort of have to preemptively do before we get started on the podcast?
Yep, kind of like with a little asterisk. I'm sorry. So this is just a normal disclaimer. Got to read: securities are offered through Cambridge Investment Research, a broker-dealer, member of FINRA SIPC, investment advisor representative of Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Financial planning services are offered through the Financial Center, which is our company, a registered investment advisor, RIA. Cambridge and the Financial Center are separate companies. So now that that's done, let's begin.
Yeah. Let's get rocking and rolling. So, Enrichers, that's the first time that we've had a registered rep on the show on the podcast. So that's a little bit of a unusual beginning, but necessary because of the world that we're living in. This is the Health and Wealth Podcast, and not that we're going to get into too much specifics, but I know that is a requirement. So, Tim Robertson, dude, it has been a pleasure working with you. And I know that you're going to get a little bit of the backstory and the history and everything. But before we get into, that in segment 2 today, let's talk a little bit about your history, where you came from, what got you into the financial services business, some of your background. I mean, I know it very well, but our audience, the Enrichers, really want to get a chance to know, how did such a young, strapping individual like yourself get into the financial services world? Go take us back a little ways.
Well, looks may be misleading, but yeah, good question. Well, I will start off on this. So as you know, so my father is the original financial advisor here at the Financial Center. Has done this for longer than I've been alive, and he's been doing it for about 32 years. So that'll kind of clue you in to some of the stuff. But I've had a little different path. Growing up, I should say. Actually, I'll start with the fun stuff. So went to college right here in Detroit. Fortunate enough to play lacrosse there, and I always never wanted to be, I guess, a financial advisor when I was little. Always thought what my dad did was cool, and I hear these awesome stories of clients saying, "Hey, because of your dad, we can do this, that, the other thing." We're so incredibly grateful, for what you guys have done. And actually, my mom works at this office as well. So when clients come in, it's kind of, they get to see the whole family, which is pretty cool. But I, after growing up, wanted to be an officer in the Marine Corps. You see movies like Act of Valor, Lone Survivor, American Sniper. I thought, how cool would that be? We appreciate obviously all of the folks that have served our nation, but I feel like the Marines is kind of known for being the elite. How cool would that be? And then to be an officer in there, because I had a degree. Well, turns out went to officer candidate school and found out it was not for me. Respect obviously everyone that's done that, and obviously super grateful. But yeah, not really for me. So January 2015, my parents picked me up from the airport, and that was a long, coming home from Quantico, Virginia. That was a long, emotional car ride, kind of rock bottom. And Carter, my father does not take a lot of what's a good way of saying this? Doesn't take a lot of crap.
Yeah.
So he goes, hey, you're home. You're going to be on to the next chapter of your life. You have 2 weeks to either find a job or move out. Okay. So the next morning I started sending out applications. Fortunately, my cousin worked at a mortgage company here in Detroit. So I was able to interview with them and absolutely hit it off. I remember they said, you get to talk to people for 12 hours a day. I said, you're going to pay me for it? Oh, man. Yeah, this would be great. Worked there for about half a decade. And then and Tim, I know you've done mortgages in the past, so, maybe you can speak to this. Helping someone, I worked on the purchase side, helping people get into their houses. Huge deal. Buying a home is the largest financial asset probably you're ever going to do, not to mention an emotional decision. So, working with people, and keep in mind, it was over the phone. It was the first kind of introduction to digital business. I know a lot of mortgage companies, at least, when I was growing up, it was, you go down to the bank or you meet with the mortgage broker, you know what I mean? Sit down, look at them. So this was different. So if you're selling a not, tangible, you can't see it, touch it, or feel it. It forces you to focus on other things. And Carter, I know you've spoken in your other podcasts of the 3 Ps, right?
Products, price, and then performance.
You got it. So I had to learn kind of a baptism under fire, how to figure that out, how to make yourself different. And I focused on just taking care of people and kind of doing what you're doing. And, as the years went on, I started there March of 2015. Kind of talked to my dad every little bit. Hey, it's tough. I'm struggling. This is going well. That's going well. And over the years, he kind of said, oh, good. You're doing well. Because when I came back, and one thing I forgot to mention from my little John Quantico was, I'll just work for Dad. Dad owns a business. I'll just work for him. And he goes, absolutely not. You're not, for one, you're not going to appreciate it, which I didn't understand at the time. But the second thing was, he goes, you got to go cut your own teeth. If I yell at you, your dad yells at you, it's different. But I'm sure both of you know from going out there and working for someone who's not family. Yeah, it's common. A manager can yell at you. A boss can yell at you. And you can't, have an attitude. So I, very much appreciate kind of that baptism. And then, after years, I struggled, so much. And I think that job really taught me just focus on the basics. Please, thank you. Normal stuff, being polite. It's not going to go your way every time. And again, remember, I was doing this over the phone. And I'm sure everyone listening or, watching this and listening to this podcast have gotten a random number, call you, and you got to deal with those people. Sometimes you get clients on the other end that aren't happy to talk to you, don't want to talk to you. But little do you realize they're not being rude to you on purpose. They could have had, bad day. Family could be going through stuff. You never know. So it just taught me to really take care of people, to treat them with respect. And you help another or enough, what did Zig Ziglar say? If you help enough people get what they want, you in turn get what you want. Yeah. And so then, fortunately, I had 3-4 years in, I go, Dad, this is pretty cool, but I'm starting to realize what you do is really cool. I just help people with their houses. And Tim, you remember, talk to someone for a month, maybe two, and then you never talk to them again. And all that great relationship that you got to build, a friendship, they're gone. You got to do it again. But now with what we do, we fortunately get clients for life. I mean, we have clients here that we've had for 20, 30 years. And I thought, what a cool opportunity that is. So long story short, put together a plan with Dad saying, hey, what do I got to do to come work at the office? Like, I think I'm ready, and I would absolutely love to do what you do, Dad. And we designed kind of I want to say a succession plan, but a success plan where I needed to, hit kind of certain goals with the company I was working at. Fortunately, we did. So end of 2019, I got a tap on the shoulder, and super grateful to that mortgage company that I worked for. But yeah, excited to be here. And then COVID started, and I fortunately got all my licenses and stuff. But we are rocking and rolling right now. So yeah, that's kind of the brief history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey, well, and Tim, I know you got a question, but you kind of sort of just like
probably a few
flew right through like the lacrosse.
I know.
Well, I'm interested. Like I don't think we've had anybody on the show yet, Tim, right? On that played lacrosse or anything. I know we have a lot of golfers because
professional golfers, yeah.
But I'm interested. Like, was that high school lacrosse and then college lacrosse and stuff like that? Talk a little bit about that team and how that sort of helped to craft a lot of the things you do.
Sure. So, and I know they have lacrosse by both of you guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tim did an Oregon.
Oh yeah,
in Arizona.
It'll get you in shape.
Hey, and you would know, fastest game on 2 feet. Actually, America's oldest sport. The Native Americans played it. So I found out about it in 6th grade, and I'd never really heard of lacrosse. And this was back when, cable had like maybe 50, 30, 50 channels. And we were watching, it was springtime. We're just flipping through, and on ESPN, they had this wild game. And my dad and I were, what is this game? It's got the kind of the flow of hockey, similar ball movement to soccer, but you can hit like football and rugby. I got to find out more about this. Think of a better game for an adolescent young man, right? You get to run around, hit people with sticks, and it's all legal. Like, oh my goodness. Definitely comparison to like, playing outfield with baseball with what I was doing. So yeah, lacrosse is an awesome sport. Should definitely research it. Even heck, just go on YouTube and type in, lacrosse highlights, and you'll be amazed. Fortunately, though, went to a high school that had a team as well. So I started in middle school. It was all right. And I wasn't the most skilled guy, but I remember when I was little, I heard from wise coaches saying, "Hey, practice with your skills, but if you're the best athlete out there, someone will find a spot for you." So I always try to be as good a runner and as good in shape as I could possibly be. So in high school, my skills really started to kind of catch up. So I got better, and fortunately got the opportunity to play in the Division I level. Heck, in Michigan, University of Detroit was the only program. Now U of M, and I think in the Midwest, there's like 12, 13 teams. But for those watching who have young, keep in mind, they have guys and girls lacrosse.
Yep.
Girls is a lot of fun too. But great college scholarship opportunities. All the Ivy League, Johns Hopkins, Duke, Yale, North Carolina,
Syracuse. Isn't that the be all in all of lacrosse?
You'll find there's really two hotbeds. Really, Long Island, New York. They've been playing it the longest at the highest level. But you will find some people that will tell you Baltimore is right there as well. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
Awesome. So sorry, Tim, I took over you were going to ask a question earlier, and
I was just going to ask him what he liked taking his securities license test.
Oh man,
wasn't that fun?
Did I like it, or which one? So
766. Did you like those?
So Fortunately, I was never a good test taker, but this showed me truly how to actually study. Unfortunately, I didn't really, I guess, perfect studying. And there's a myriad now of companies that you can, they'll have study materials. So, there's the SIE now there. I mean, there's a million. And I just took another one 2 weeks ago and fortunately passed. I can't say it now because it's not totally official. I don't have the certificate, but it's, stay tuned. But yeah, Tim, you know better than anyone for being a financial advisor. There's just a myriad of testing you got to do. So I didn't enjoy it, to say the least.
Well, you got to get that stuff done so you can get into the real world and start helping people. It's just unfortunately the way it is. But
now, actually, I as I mentioned to Carter, I did a little research myself, and I kind of came prepared if I could ask you guys some questions. That as I was listening to most of your podcasts, not all of them, I thought, what about some cool things that I, as an enricher, would want to hear about you guys? So if that's all right, I have some questions for you both.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Tim, I know you. I'll start with you, Carter. I'll save you for later. So Tim, I know you're from what I've heard, you're an Oregon guy, right? Born and raised.
Mm-hmm.
So have you just kind of lived in the Portland area? Have you traveled around? Have you lived in any other states?
I've traveled a lot, but I've lived, I grew up in Eastern Oregon, and I was there until probably about 20, I don't know, how was it, 19, 20, 24, 25, off and on. I was coming down here in the summer, and then I've lived all over the Portland metro area, different places.
Are you a Oregon State or Oregon?
God, that's a tough one. I would say probably I would for baseball, it'd be probably Oregon State, and football, Oregon.
Fair weather fan.
Eugene and Corvallis.
I get it, bro. I understand.
Yeah.
Well, great. So as far as, have you traveled all over the world, states?
Yeah, I've been a few places. Taiwan. I've been to all over Canada. I went to Vietnam one time.
Wow.
Checked that out. Went to the memorial battlegrounds and stuff out in the bush. We went out into the jungle, and it was really cool. And we literally caught like these wild crabs, and they had them for dinner, and then they were catching fish and stuff on the boats. I felt it was like, you guys were talking about movies earlier. It was just like missing in action with Chuck Norris. People were like living on the side of boats on the side of rivers and shit. And the sun going down over the jungle was like ridiculous.
Live and let die.
Yeah. Peru. I've been to Machu Picchu. I spent some time down there.
I've traveled, just South America, Asia. Not, I would say that's pretty well traveled. Where is your next, big trip?
I'm taking my boys fishing in Alaska.
In
June during the peak of the salmon run.
I'm going to be there in August. I'll Where are you guys going in Alaska?
North of Anchorage is Dillingham. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Is that will that be the most north you've ever been? I know you mentioned Canada.
No, I've been up there before. I went caribou hunting in 2003 and did some fishing up there a long time ago.
Wow. Did you get any?
Yeah. I got the biggest one. Legally. This one other jackass shot one the day we flew and almost got everybody in trouble.
What does a big caribou weigh?
Oh, I don't know. They're like about the size of a deer. I mean, they're a big deer. I feel bad now. I mean, I don't really. I stopped hunting a while back when I stopped eating meat, and I feel like I was shooting Santa's reindeer, so I don't want to do it no more.
Wow. Okay.
It's understandable.
That was wild. Well, Carter, you're up next. Are you ready?
All right. Yeah.
Well, so this was actually when I was listening to the podcast with Ted. Obviously a professional golfer, which how cool is that? And he was talking about, Lord Byron and the different places. I wanted to ask you, because you, as you told me, were a semi-professional golfer, right?
Well, I mean, I was an assistant pro at a golf course, so yeah.
Well,
I mean,
hey, you're good.
Pros you can get, yeah.
So, where's the coolest place that you've ever golfed? And then, where, if you could pick any golf course in the world that you could golf, where would that be with and who?
Well, I'll answer the second question first.
Okay.
Because it's real easy. It's Augusta National. That's the that is my bucket list. The one thing that I would absolutely love to be able to do. And if I had anybody that I could play golf there with, it would be my wife and my son and my daughter. That's who I would love to play golf with. Now, if we're talking, something a little bit sexier than that, right? Like, well, the enrichers don't care about you wanting to play golf with your son and your daughter. You're just saying that. But, and your wife. But my wife, of course, is a 7 handicap. So it's not like we're talking about someone who can't, play golf, right? Division I collegiate athlete at Baylor University, right?
Wow.
So she is an athlete. And of course, my son, who is a aspiring golf pro, 14.
Yeah.
And I'm very jealous of his golf swing, by the way. But if I really had anybody I could play golf with, from the professional ranks, or somebody that would be really, really awesome to play golf with talent-wise, I would really love to be able to play with Gary Woodland, who is the 2019 U.S. Open champion at Pebble Beach, which is a golf course I've actually never played before, but it's definitely on my list of golf courses to play. I'd love to play with him because I've known him for a long time and never got a chance to play golf with him. Who wouldn't want to play with Tiger Woods if he was able to play?
Yeah.
Obviously, one of the greatest of all times. And of course, Jack Nicklaus. I mean, the greatest golfer of all time. The amount of history that you could learn and glean from those types of conversations would be absolutely priceless. So playing with those guys, I guess, at Augusta National would be really cool. But that would be the coolest place to play that I have not played. As far as the coolest place that I have ever played golf at, man, that's kind of tough to answer because I've played
top three, whatever.
Top three.
I'm thinking, Scotland, Key West.
Yeah, right. I've never played. I've never been to Scotland or Ireland. I love to play golf there too, but I've played a golf course called Pasatiempo, and Pasatiempo is actually the place where Dr. Alistair McKenzie, who designed Augusta National, by the way, with Bobby Jones back in the late 20s, early 30s, he lived and died on hole number 6 at Pasatiempo, and there's a lot of those same sort of big undulated greens and fairways that meander and all that stuff, and bunkers that look like they're here, but really they're somewhere else. And it's really cool if you're a historian of golf, and plus if you're a golf, fanatic with architecture of, golf course design. So
you definitely aren't, right?
What's that?
Yeah, which you definitely aren't, right?
Yeah, exactly, right. And then later that same week that we played Pasatiempo, we played San Francisco Golf Club, which is a very difficult golf course to even be able to get on. I was blessed to be able to have played it. It was phenomenal, and not everybody can say that they have or even have the ability to get on and play there. And of course, I got into this business by caddying at a private club called Whisper Rock, which of course I also played golf at Whisper Rock, which they call the Pine Valley of the West. And then I guess one of my icings on the cake golf course that I have played is Eastlick, which is where they play the PGA Championship and the FedEx Cup Championship every year. So I was able, and there's a lot of history in there because Bobby Jones also grew up on that golf course there in Atlanta Athletic Club in Atlanta, Georgia. And Eastlake is a phenomenal golf course that, again, I was blessed to be able to get on there and play. It was a really, really cool place. But again, I've played so many cool golf courses. It's hard to, pinpoint, each one of them. But those were great, amazing experiences for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good wrap up. Good questions, Tim. You turned the tides on us. We did. It was a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, I like myself every once in a while, and I know we're coming up on a hard break, Tim.
Yeah, we're past it, but it was worth it. So we'll take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll talk about how Tim and his newfound career and his passion and the financial center is working with CSI Financial and how it's helping them to bulletproof their clients. We'll be right back.
Are you concerned about being able to get all of your affairs in order during this trying time? Are you troubled by what would happen if you ever became incapacitated? Maybe you've been procrastinating in the past to address these issues, but now, more than ever before, you know just how important it is to get everything documented. Well, don't worry, because we can get you taken care of right from the comfort of your own home. Welcome to the revolutionary My Life Card Plan estate plan processing platform, home of the last estate plan you'll ever need. We are very pleased you are here, and rest assured, we can offer you a complete estate planning experience regardless of where in the 50 states you may live. Our unique transformational system combines efficiency, convenience, and professional support at levels you never thought possible for setting up your estate plan. Moreover, we will provide you with powerful, user-friendly dynamics that put you in total control of your plan throughout your lifetime. Call us today at 888-316-6040 or go to www.csifinancialgroup.com, and our team of specialists will be there to assist you every step of the way.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here. I'm back with my co-host, Carter Wilcox, and today in the house, Tim Robertson, Vice President of the Financial Center. Tim, why don't you just get into like how you and your dad have partnered with CSI Financial, and what's that been like for you and your clients?
Yeah, so great question, and I will, as with, how World War II, how that began, tons of advances. I don't know them all, but tinfoil, spam, and I forget the quote about. Help me out here. Where
it's not what you can do for your country, but what your country can do for you.
No,
flip flop that.
Innovation. What causes innovation? Whatever. But, where scientists are forced to come together and come up with a lot of new inventions because we need them. So with COVID, obviously everything's shut down, and we, a huge part of our business, other than helping folks, make good choices with their money, or part of that is, family succession planning, estate planning, trust versus will. Why are trusts important? Why funded trusts are important. And so we've worked with some estate attorneys, in the past, but with COVID, we would have clients saying, oh, well, you know what? I'm not going to live forever. Maybe I should start talking about what's going to happen when I'm not here, because I'm not going to be around forever. So, and I'm not sure how in depth or how familiar, your enrichers are with that process now. Currently, with meeting with an estate planning or with an estate planning attorney or getting a trust. Short answer is it's a pain in the what. It's incredibly long. Some would say difficult. You have to do a lot of work yourself. And unfortunately, at least my perspective or our perspective is it's really, in a lot of cases, it's not the best thing, for the client. We're fiduciaries, so we're held to a higher standard at our office. You got to do what's right for the client, at all times. And with the way we would have clients complain and say, yeah, so we're trying to work with this, estate planner, and they're working at home. So I got to fax my documents over here, and they got to send it to someone else who's working from home, send it to someone else, which granted, everybody in COVID's understaffed to begin with. So you have a long, drawn out, incredibly boring and difficult process. I've heard clients say, I would rather be on the phone with the DMV. I would rather be trying to get my baggage back from an airline. So this forced us to seek another bird, find someone who had a better way doing things. And fortunately, and really, Carter, you'll have to share. I don't know exactly how you showed up, but I just remember we had a call come through with this Carter guy. And what you explained to us, and Tim, keep in mind, I'm coming fresh off all of my licenses, so I think I know everything by the book and exactly how it's supposed to be. And then Carter comes along and says, oh, by the way, that thing that you guys know, there's a substantially way easier process that's going to help your clients out immensely. And again, if we're in the business, if we can help other people out and make it easy, with the easy button and getting this incredibly drawn out process that takes, gosh, what did we hear? A stat, 4+ months in the state of Michigan in COVID, down to a day, really. If you need to, we can knock it out in heck 90 and 90. Get 90% of your entire estate plan done in 90 minutes or less. And Carter, I think if you're motivated, I've been able to do it, crank it. And of course, the attorneys that we work with in-house with CSI are incredible as well. So every single, I think we're definitely in the double digits, but people are shocked and amazed and saying, finally, something has come along that's a lot easier. And that's because of COVID, ultimately. So they're,
yeah. Well, I'll just jump in and I'll say that it's interesting because whenever I started CSI Financial Group, coming up on, it'll be 7 years in July. I can't even believe how fast it's already gone. We wanted to create something that was going to differentiate us because it's a very competitive industry in our space. But then when COVID hit, we had already been embracing the whole digital transformation, digital age and everything. But because I had been tapping into a lot of my previous relationships, we hadn't been doing a lot of recruiting. But once that happened and, we were forced to have to be like, well, a lot of our advisors, we need to help them with this estate planning platform. Let's launch a campaign to recruit independent, financial advisors and educate them on our tool and our platform that we have. That's this estate planning as a foundational approach. So the very first campaign that we launched, somehow your dad got wind of it or whatever. They reached out, and then, the rest is history, so to speak. But we really hit it off great from the very, very beginning. And I was just so super impressed with how much your dad understood how critically important estate planning was. And I've said this many, many times to advisors, and I'm going to use that terminology loosely, that I said, you can't honestly, this is my humble opinion, you can't call yourself a trusted advisor if you don't have a estate planning solution for them. I really firmly believe that, right? So everything we built was for that to be the foundation. And Tim, both of you Tims know, you can't build anything if you don't have a solid foundation. You just can't.
Absolutely right.
That's correct.
The current pandemic is not, it's COVID obviously is, but the financial pandemic are folks saying that, many clients and prospects we've got, I got a will. I'm fine. My attorney said I'm fine. I just have a will. It doesn't make any sense working so hard to build your castle. You can't live in it when you're gone.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Or distribute it. See, and this is why we try to sort of simplify. And, we talk about the 3 E's all the time, right? We want to educate, enlighten, and empower your clients to take action on what it is that they need to get done with this, this mysterious thing they call estate planning, which is why really we've narrowed it down and we said, no, this isn't estate planning. This is family succession planning. You're not going to be here forever. None of us are. So we have to take your estate.
Hold on. I've been drinking my greens twice today. I think I'm going to make it forever.
Well, 385 plug here, right? So, we want to make sure that when you're no longer here, we have set up the plan. Everybody knows what a plan is, right? You either fail to plan or you plan to fail, right? So we will set up a plan of your estate, which just means everything you own. What's the ideal, optimal way to create a distribution plan for those who you leave behind? And our entire platform was designed to do that, to do those 3 E's that I just talked about, and really help your clients, Tim, get out of their own way and let them understand, like, hey, this is a 21st century, right? Doing it the old fashioned, go get in a car and drive down, find a parking spot.
Mentioned that leather-bound book last time, Tim.
Yeah, exactly. That leather-bound book that's just collecting dust. That really what you ended up doing was, all you did is you paid for an expensive way to send your family through probate because it's probably not funded all the way. Anyway, Jennifer Cermak, one of our network attorneys who was just on the show just recently, she was talking about how attorneys, for the longest time, they'll tell you all you need is a simple will, right? But all that really means is that someone is going to have to take your estate through probate. Well, who's going to probate that? And who's going to make the money on that? And that ultimately is why.
Sounds like a pharmaceutical company.
Yeah, exactly. Our network attorney, they are constantly fighting that old way of doing things and helping clients in this area with our financial advisors. And it's a collaborative team approach that ultimately puts the likes of Tim and David Robertson right in the center of a team that we bring together to help with this foundational approach that really gives them the true peace of mind that they need, that it is all handled. And then, of course, you tie into the financial aspect of it because you have to, because what you own, a lot of it is financial. Yeah. Otherwise, if you didn't own anything, you would only need a simple will because you got nothing to leave behind anyway.
Right.
So
I'm going to ask you guys both the question. You guys can answer however you want, but what is the point of having a will? Where would that serve somebody?
Hollywood is really, I think, truly how wills have gotten such a name. Did you guys see Knives Out?
I've not seen that yet, no, but I know it's out on
Two Enrichers. Incredible, good for the whole family. It's funny. It's it's got a ton of great actors in it. It's awesome. But they read a will, and that really doesn't happen. So Tim, I think people just think wills just because they don't know any better. Carter, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. The reason why they say a will is it could be Hollywood. It could be, the legal profession's done a phenomenal job on, will. And you do. Now, a will are just the instructions that are inside the trust on how you want things to be administered and distributed. So you really need both of them. It's not one or the other. But a will is not a contract. See, in the United States of America, we're under contract law. And a trust, a revocable living trust, is a contract that states specifically exactly how you want your will and whatever those instructions are in the will. That the trust is the mechanism that, using contract law, is what ultimately determines on how things need to be done. The problem with the will is that it's not a contract. It's just a wish list. It's just hey, this would be really, really cool. But the problem is a will, by its own definition, has to go through probate because it's not a contract. So the courts have to probate it or prove what is actually in the will, that the grantor's intent was to have that happen. In a will is, again, since it's not a contract, is 100% contestable. So imagine if your last name is Robertson. It's a fairly common last name. Or Smith.
A lot of us out there.
Or Williams or Jones. Well, if it's 100% contestable, that means anybody with that last name can come in and be like, hey, I'm an heir to that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And by the way, a will is also 100% accessible online. It's not private. There's no privacy to a will. So with a little bit of work, and a lot of it's all online now, with just a little bit of work, you can actually find out on just how wealthy that Robertson or Smith or Williams or Jones was. And if you have the last name, you're like, cha-ching, it's time to, sue the estate and say, hey, that's partly mine. And you know what? Guess what, Tim? Here's the worst part about it, is that it's actually a lot easier for the executor of the estate, instead of fighting it, just be like, hey, take $5,000 and just go away.
Write your check just to, and then that nefarious person it's just going to do it again to someone else.
Yeah. I don't know if that answered your question or if it was.
Yeah, I think that was I think you've actually alluded to something that we've never talked about on this before on the show, which is, I think, really important for people to, I think this is going to be a good show to share to people. Take this little clip out, what you just said, and share it with people, because it's really important to understand that, like, even if you got to trust the old school way, it's still worth it, because the hours, and you think DMV is bad, wait till you go through probate. And it's not just the time involved, but it's the relationships, the family members' relationships, they get destroyed in it. Whereas if the trust is the protective cover around the wish list, which is the will. So a will is like basically a naked time bomb. It's just sitting there ticking, and it's going to explode, and you could lose a lot of the money to, like you said, nefarious people, Tim, or you're going to destroy relationships in the family. So if you actually care about your family, you have to get the will done, and then wrap it up with the trust and fund the darn thing, and actually put the assets in it so that they protect. That's another step. It'd be like buying a safe, and then you put your money on top of the safe and go on vacation for a year and come back and you wonder why your money's not there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So yeah, we talk a lot about the fact that even if probate court was free, didn't cost anything to your estate, you would still not want to have to put your family through that. I mean, the type of fracturing that's happened in my own family, because they didn't proactively plan, because guess what? They were gazillionaires, and in their mind, the conventional wisdom's like, oh, well, trust, that's just for the multi-gazillionaires only need that. And actually, if you have 500,000 and up, it's more critically important for you to have this than it is for those who are extremely super duper wealthy. But anyway, I digress. The whole meaningful part about the question on the will is that a will at some level that is more than likely going to have to be proven. And if you have any assets of any type of value,
right,
that's just not something that you want to have.
Like Jennifer said, sometimes they don't even need to have value.
Yeah,
family's still going to fight over it.
Yeah, it's either intrinsic value or it's sentimental value. And she talked about it. And that's why she doesn't do probates anymore. She's like, I see these families ripping themselves apart. I mean, I still to this day, I have an uncle who, my father-in-law, his brother, right? They rarely, if ever, talk because of whenever they're right? And that's just now, guess what? That trickles down, right? So now my wife, who grew up with all of her cousins,
doesn't get to talk to them.
Now they don't talk with them as much.
Severed, yeah.
Exactly.
They need a book on ego. All right, guys. Well, we're going to take another quick break. And when we get back, we're going to let Tim flip the switch on me and ask me any question on
more
health.
So.
We'll be right back.
You want the absolute best for yourself, and you want it to be easy. That's why we created Green 85. It helps with detoxifying the body gently, but we're proud it's chemical-free, unlike almost all other supplements you'll find. Bottom line, Green 85 will get you healthier. We look forward to hearing what Green 85 did for you.
To get this product and our other amazing products, go to chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here with my co-host Carter Wilcoxon. Today in the house we have Tim Robertson, Vice President of the Financial Center. Tim, now is the time for you to ask me any question that you would like on health for yourself, health for somebody else, anything about health. Go ahead.
Tim, so in getting ready for this,
I know you're prepared. He's got his list.
But here's the thing. I don't think we're going to have time to answer all your questions. But you know what I did do is I went on chemicalfreebody.com, and after I bought the Green 85, which was awesome, it's in the mail currently. And I got whatever other great deal you guys are doing on there with the enzyme. Mm-hmm. But as I went to check out, I noticed for like under $40, I scheduled a personal group counseling with you.
Okay, cool.
So whatever we don't get here,
you join the community. That's cool.
So and I'm really excited for that. So is that, and we'll get into all the health stuff too. Is that can you kind of explain what that is for other enrichers that are curious about signing up?
Yeah, so you're going to get a one-time. He's kind of let the cat out of the bag, but if you're a first-time person, that's okay. If you're a first-time person to our company, we have. Well, first off, let's just backtrack. Our company was founded on coaching, so I literally did one-on-one coaching with over 600 people. Now I've got some coaches working with me. They do the one-on-one coaching. I have been transitioning over into this private group coaching community. We're creating an actual community where we show up once a week and I lead the group and we do a topic and then it's live Q&A. So you'll be able to come every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern and plug into me and ask me questions just like you'd get to do here on the show. Awesome. And then once a month we have our founder, or not our founder, but our formulator, Dr. Scott Treadway, who is a really healthy dude at an age 70, but he actually had his own practice for 10 years, seeing patients on a daily basis. So he had boots on the ground too. And he's kind of one of the unsung heroes in the health field. He's one of the top formulators in the world. He's a master herbalist in Chinese herbology, Indian herbology, and Western herbology. He's a ghostwriter for many. There's a lot of doctors out there that people are, there's some big names that people are following their books. Well, Dr. Treadway wrote them. But, people don't know that because he's a ghostwriter. He get paid to he write it and nobody knows, right? So he's a really brilliant man, and we're lucky to have him on staff here at chemicalfreebody.com. So not only does he help us make our formulas, but he comes on once a month, every second Tuesday in that group, and it's Talk with the Doc. So you get to hang with Dr. Treadway. It's pretty cool.
Well, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and then once a month, and then also about once a month, I usually bring on a special guest like I did a couple of weeks ago. I brought on Phil Wilson as an example. He was he's the founder of Relax Saunas, and we had him on going over these freaking unbelievable saunas. I just had him on my podcast at episode 61. So if you have a sauna and you want to, I just dumped my $5,400 sauna and bought this $1,900 one because it's like 6 to 9 times better. It's ridiculous. And we actually got a $100 discount code for people to do that. So if you want to do it, you can go to, I think it's thehealthysauna.com and you can get your $100 discount code. But the point is I have people on like this that are moving the needle substantially for people's health. And when I find somebody like that, like a Phil that has these awesome saunas, or I get like a Karen Bowen who's decoded magnesium, and we know how to get full red blood cell magnesium saturation, I become friends with them. I bring them on, I network with them, and I learn from them. And those people come into the group and then they help educate the group. So it's like the people in the group a lot of people have cancer. Some people are executives. They're wanting, to look good, live longer, be healthier. I have high level athletes in the group, and just a bunch of good people. All the people in the group are awesome, and they're actually taking action to improve their health, and they're helping each other. So that's what the group's all about.
That is incredible. Well, I will. I know we got a limited time here, so I'm gonna go with one of my favorites. I know you had mentioned, obviously, you did some hunting, got some elk. Can you speak to, eating free range game, elk, deer that you might have hunted, and I guess the diet people used to eat, free range chickens. Do you get does your body, have a physiological change, with eating that at a, totally pure, versus, not mass produced meat, eggs, and fish, farm versus non? Is there that big of a difference?
Yeah, there's a massive difference. So the reality is that the closer you get to nature, whether it be the air you breathe, the water you drink, the food you eat, what you touch and comes into contact with your skin, the healthier you're going to be. If you take a chicken as an example, or turkeys, these fowl, and they're grown on a farm and they're walking around pecking, grass and bugs in nature, right? That's going to be a healthier chicken than one that's raised in this huge mega building that has raising bowls. They literally have these bowls that raise up as they age. And then if they can't get the water or get the food, they die and then they clean them up and they grind them up, and that becomes dog food or food for the other chickens, stuff like that. And they have to give them antibiotics because they don't let the sunlight in, and sunlight is a natural antibiotic. It sterilizes everything, and it's nasty. They feed them nasty stuff. They feed them like genetically modified corn and soy, and anytime anything's genetically modified, it's really messing with the plant's metabolism, and the plants start producing formaldehyde. So you're basically eating these formaldehyde chickens. Turkey's an example. I don't know if we've talked about this. Usually around Thanksgiving, I always do funny memes, but turkeys, commercially raised turkeys, for those listening, when you're consuming that turkey, these turkeys cannot have sex anymore. Okay. They can't physically reproduce. They've been so hybrid to have these massive, huge chests and all this meat on them. They physically can't have sex. So they have to be artificially inseminated. They're so bizarre of creatures. You go out into the wild, turkeys are not fat like that. I mean, they're skinny, and they can, they can haul ass too. They can run and fly, and they can fly up in the trees, and they perch. These things just waddle around and fall over themselves, because it's sad too, because it's like just laboratory, grotesque, nasty, okay, hormones, antibiotics. And then you consume these and it's unfortunate, but like 70% of the antibiotics that are made by pharmaceutical companies go into the animals that we consume, right? So what happens is like you eat these, you're eating your, turkey dinner for Thanksgiving, and you have and you're having chicken wings with your buddies, and having beers and stuff like that, and chicken dinner with your mom and dad. And the reality is what you're doing is you're loading your body up with antibiotics. And sometime in your life, you're going to get not so well. Something's going to happen. You end up in a hospital. You'll get a bacterial infection, and they'll give you antibiotics, and they don't work. They'll give you another set. They don't work. They'll give you the CPAC. It doesn't work. And then you die of a bacterial infection because you're already immune to the antibiotics because you've been consuming them your whole life, right? So it has nothing to do with health. So yeah, the fresher, the wilder, the closer to the nature, of course, the healthier you're going to be. And we've seen this with hundreds and now thousands of clients as they get away from the standard American diet, and they get away from processed, cooked foods, irradiated foods, boxed, canned, jarred, bagged, fresh. Pick it, eat it. That's where health is.
So real quick, how do you keep your sprouts? Just, in the fridge, on the counter? Do you water them all the time? Sunlight?
Yeah, it depends. The ones that are grown in trays, those have to be watered daily, and then you harvest them as you go. Those are things like sunflower pea sprouts, but things like lentils, mung beans, fenugreek, these can be grown in glass jars, right? Okay. And these are ready to go in 2.5 days, and then you just rinse them soak once, and then rinse them morning and night until the little tails pop out. And now you have a really powerful food that's about 100 to 800 times more nutritious. And then you just keep them in a jar in the refrigerator with a little air to it. And then you just rinse them off once every 2 to 3 days and keep them going.
Wow. So that kind of leads me on to my next question. So let's say, I'll just tell you a real life example. So with myself, over the past couple months, my girlfriend's really into, I'll have the big chicken breasts that are super cheap at the grocery store, and she'll say, "Here's the organic ones that are farm raised." And I go, "Well, they're twice as expensive. You get half the meat." But I've slowly kind of started getting on that train. I drink a ton of water, unfortunately in plastic bottles, which we can save for later. Vitamins, sunshine, just eating good, staying away from the junk food, obviously no drugs or alcohol. But I found that, I got fast food 2 weeks ago and I felt terrible. Is it pretty, it's obvious the cleaner you run, the second you go out and have too many beers, like does alcohol affect you exponentially more?
Yeah, it all does. It all does. It's just you build up tolerances, Tim. And what happens, like in my coaching program, what I'll do is and I always encourage people during our 6-month program, if they want to at least do plant-based for 30 days. right? Because we don't push it like you have to do it forever, because not everybody's ready to do it physically or emotionally. And maybe it's not right for their body type. Maybe they do need a little bit of meat in their diet. We don't, I'm doing plant-based raw again this year. I'm a human experiment. I'm always like testing and seeing what's optimal performance for me. Right. But I completely lost my train of thought, but we were talking about
how you've been running clean. You're a human experiment.
Oh yeah. So usually what ends up happening is, like, I'd probably say about 80% of our clients between month 4 and 6 in coaching, that's when we're like, hey, then they're like, hey, I'm ready to do it. Let's do that 30-day plant-based day. So it's think of it as a detox month. It's a time to be eating really clean. And inevitably every time though they finish up with that, and then I tell them, now I want you to go, and I tell them at the beginning, as soon as you're done, I want you to go have a steak and potatoes and knock yourself out. And then call me in the morning, because this is going to teach them a very valuable lesson that I can never, and if I could lecture for 40 years to them, they'll never get it or internally like they do when they do this process, because the next day they'll feel like they got hit by a Mack truck. They'll feel like they have cold and flu-like symptoms, bags under the eyes, fatigue. And they call me up like, Jesus, I feel like I literally got hit by a truck. And it's just like, now they get it. Now they understand the connection between what they eat and how it affects their physiology and how it really affects their whole life, because your body and your energy levels are going to affect your relationship with your wife, your spouse, your kids, your energy levels, your friends, your family, your career, your finances, your spirituality, your exercise. Everything is connected to this physical body. And that's why a lot of the master yogis and stuff that are really into the spiritual stuff also believe that you really need to honor and take care of the sacred temple that you've been given as a gift.
Wow. So that was awesome. Last thing, because I know we're running close on time. I told you. So as you can see, I've been drinking water out of this plastic.
The blender bottles. I used to use those.
So convinced. So I'm super bought in. Plastic is just easier to deal with. Convince me or highlight why I shouldn't do that, please. Instead, what, glass or metal would be the appropriate alternative?
Yeah, glass is the best. It depends. I mean, you can use metal. It depends on the type of water. Like our water that we have, we charge it with molecular hydrogen. So if you put it into metal, then it just goes to the metal and you kind of lose that charge, which is literally a charge that you want for your cells on a cellular level. So we use cells, or excuse me, we use glass. So, but yeah, you'd want a high quality stainless steel or glass. Plastic. Well, where does plastic come from?
It's initially petroleum, right?
Yeah, they make it from crude oil, like the same shit that you're making gasoline from or your motor oil, right? And then they have to add like 3,000 chemicals to manufacture it. And outside of these chemical plastic plants, there's tremendous amount of pollution and environmental degradation, and people are been very sick in lawsuits. In fact, I had a guy on my podcast, the Health Hero Show, and he's literally an insider. He's coming out next week because he was on for I got it right here. This is really important. Where's he at? I've interviewed a lot of people. Where's it at here? Phil? Nope, that wasn't it. Joel Hirschhorn. This is an insider. He worked for U.S. Congress, National Governors Association. He was a professor, directed research. He actually directed health research for public policy, toxic waste, and cleanup sites. So he was literally going around, and he was a toxic waste expert. And all of the people that were suing these companies and stuff like that in the government had 100% win rate when he testified, because he was such an expert on it. He said one time he helped an entire town pick up, and they moved the entire town of people because of all the pollution and the toxic waste. So when you think about that, just the process of, ripping the oil out of the ground and then putting the chemicals with it, and then all that happens with the toxic waste just to make the stuff. And then, you've heard of BPA, right? And the whole thing with Aaron Brockovich.
Yeah.
Well, so
crazy.
Yeah, so they win, right? No BPA. Well, yay! It's like it's bad. Okay, but they have 36 other in BPS.
100%. Yeah.
They have 37 lined up, so they just move on to the next one. So the reality is that these plastics are giving off estrogen mimicking chemicals that are going to disrupt your hormones, right? And man, do we have a lot of problems with that. And they're so bad, and we've talked about this before, 1,500 miles into the interior lakes of pristine lakes where there's no man, the little 2 and 2.5 inch fish are developing both male and female organs now because of these estrogen mimickers from these microplastics. And it's not just the plastic bottles that you're drinking out of that are going to give you man boobs and lead to prostate cancer and breast cancer and cyst development and ovarian cysts and uterine cysts and all this stuff. But it's the clothing that we're wearing too. If your clothing is not natural fiber, like if it's underarm or, polyesters, these types of things. And what are they made from? Crude oil, right? So our natural ecosystem that's where the answer is. This is not rocket science, but we get so busy and we get so into our lives and we want we got microfibers and polyesters and nylons and rayons. All these are estrogen mimicking off gassers. And even after 1,000 washes, they're going to still off gas 97% of these estrogen mimicking chemicals and hormone disruptors into your body. And when you wash them, the microplastics come out, and you can look into this. Look up microplastics and killing the ocean and see what it's doing. It's killing the micro
or just the biology basis of life in the oceans. The most important thing.
Yes. And you think about it, there's this thing called, look at this up. It's called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. There's literally a mass of plastic and floating out in the Pacific Ocean. It's like the size of Texas. And the sun hits it, UVA, UVB rays are hitting on it, and it's breaking that plastic down. And the little tiny creatures are nibbling that stuff, and it gets into the food chain, and then it gets into us. And here we are, sickest people have ever been in the history of the planet. And so we teach awareness around this, then we give people simple ways to get this, detox this stuff and get it out of your body. Drinking lots of purified, restructured water, like hopefully you'll be doing pretty soon. Because the reality is, like, you can make a lot of money, but at the end of the day, it's not great when you're sitting on a respirator, or you've got stage 4 colon cancer. I had a guy that was 43-year-old, built, tough son of a bitch. He was in the mortgage industry, and he called me up one day. He's like, yeah, I got diagnosed with stage 3 rectal cancer. Who would like to have rectal cancer this week? Nobody wants that stuff. Like, you don't want it. It's terrible. So you don't have to play that game. And nobody's immune anymore. It doesn't matter at any age. Like, the number one killer of our children forever was accidents. Forever. So from ages 1 to 16, it was always accidents. But today, children from 1 to 5, it's no longer accidents. It's now brain cancer is what's killing our kids. And then from 5 to 16, it's still accidents because we're explorers when we're kids, right?
Yeah.
But number 2, it's a tie between brain cancer and I think it's and leukemia. So
I had no idea.
Yeah, man.
The leading cause of fatalities for
our children. Kids. Yeah. And then autism's on the rise. Autism's going crazy. It was in 1980, autism was 1 out of 10,000 children. And now it's like it's like under 1 out of 50. And if we stay on current trends, it'll be like 1 out of 2 by like 2050. So think about this. Fast forward, very soon, you're going to be you'll either have autism or you'll be taking care of somebody with autism. How are we going to manage a society and run? Who's going to be the plumber and the lawyer and the financial advisor when we have all these problems? So we have really got to get to the biggest problem facing us today is pollution. It's not climate change. Pollution is the biggest problem, and it's self-evident. Oceans are dying. We are dying, and we've got to clean it up. And it's unfortunate, but when we purchase plastic, we're part of the problem. That's what it is. You can't get around it. So I drink out of glass. I've broken maybe 6 or 7 glass mason jars in the last 10 years. That's it. I got to sweep it up. That's it. But I'm not
statistically speaking, you're due. So
yeah, but the reality is like I don't want the plastic in my body, but if I stop buying it, then they stop making it. People forget that we control all the power because we have the buying dollars. So if we redirect our buying dollars, we can control industry and control our own destiny and our health, ourselves, our planet, and our community.
So Tim, in wrapping this up, now that you've successfully scared the heck out of me, can it be reversed? I've been eating fast food for, You know what a hot and ready is, I'm sure. I used to live off those things. And that,
I used to get $5 worth of 39-cent cheeseburgers with no onions at McDonald's place. Then I'd go pheasant hunt. Me and my buddy would get like $5 of burgers, and we just reach in there and be eating those things and going right.
Simpler times.
Because it was fun when your body's running really well. But absolutely, your body has an innate capacity to heal itself. I mean, when you get a cut, what heals it? It's your immune system, right? Your body and your cells regenerate. So if I took every cell out of your body right now, Tim, and cataloged it and put it in a drawer, we come back in 7 years, all new cells, new Tim. That Tim's not there anymore. Not there. So what we can do then is you have to understand that in 7 years, you can completely regenerate yourself.
Wow.
To each cell. So the question is are you going to build your body with glue and paste, or are you going to build it with, with standard American diet and fast food and bullshit and garbage and toxins? Or are you going to get educated and you're going to build it with brick and mortar and get back into nature, eat fresh foods, clean up your body, detox the gut, detox your blood, detox your fat and your muscle tissue, and just create a lifestyle that's going to support cellular regeneration. That's what it really boils down to.
Wow.
Well, there you go. There you go. Well, Tim, you asked for it, and you asked some great questions.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about it. So, well, hey, Tim Robertson, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. I know that, as a registered rep, you weren't sure if you were going to be able to be on here. And as all of our enrichers, if you listen to any of our other podcasts, we don't bore you with, any type of products of financial solutions or whatever. We're really here about educating you and talking about what it is that really drives us, what's our foundational approach. So we want to be able to give you health and wealth tips all along the way. We have great guests like Tim Robertson from Novi, Michigan. Tim, seriously, thank you so much for not only being an advisor partner at CSI Financial Group, but for being our guest here on a Health and Wealth podcast.
Carter, it is tough for me to listen to you and not want to run through walls, when we're done. And Tim, you did your fair amount of motivation today. So I'm feeling supercharged and ready to rock and roll. So I appreciate it.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, hey, enrichers, thank you very much for joining us for another show of the Health and Wealth Podcast Show. Make sure to share, like, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify, and go to our website, thehealthandwealthpodcastshow.com. For my co-host, Mr. Tim James of Chemical Free Body, I am Carter Wilcoxon, CEO and founder of CSI Financial Group. And please make sure to come back and join us again next week on another wonderful show of the Health and Wealth Podcast. Tim Robertson, thank you very much again. And Tim James, you have a phenomenal time and a phenomenal day, and we will see you next time. Hey, enrichers, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Carter Wilcoxon.
And I'm your host, Tim James. And by God, we are committed to helping you guys have fat wallets, flat bellies. So tune in again for another episode, and make sure to like, share, and drink a lot of water.
Or beer.
You have just listened to the Health and Wealth Podcast with Carter and Tim.